the first step of learning is like the case of Vipassana, 10-day course. Because you have this upside down, turbulent business life, and you get away from it. So to figure out like a monk would do that, what is serenity, what is a clear mind, what's the Samadhi, you need to experience it, because just talking and learning doesn't do any good. So you experience it. So my case was 23 years ago, Vipassana, 10-day course, my first one. And then first 3.5 days breathing. And you focus on breathing, and then notice how subtle the vibration may feel. It takes 3-4 days to figure out this subtlety of the sensation, which is the experiential wisdom, call it, that it's not the brain to know what's happening, but you feel like a art and the tennis or the surfing, you get the hang of it. That's the same thing, that you get the notice of the vibration, molecule moving. It sounds crazy, but you start to feel it because you are doing it for 3.5 days. I've done it. This was my first time, so I got so serious. I was 52 years old when I went there. This is my whole existence. Go through this, and I put everything into it. So we started it at 4:30 or 5. I was number one to go there, rushing. I can cry almost. This 52-year-old guy rushing to do the meditation. and nobody's there, because that's supposed to be for anyone to do it for that time, and the hall is open. And if you want to do it in your practice, in your place you're sleeping, you can do it, but you may not do it. So I'm the one. I determined to do it. So every day for 11, 12 hours I did, just for breathing, right? And then it goes to the Vipassana, which is the inner body sensation. I'm going to explain this quickly.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah. So that it's instead of the breathing and the subtleties around your nostril, you start to check all the parts of your body from the brain, piece by piece, one after the other, and the forehead and backside and the sideway, and taking time, and then notice, or if you notice that your awareness of each of those, your ear or throat or body or in upward, you focus on paying attention to see if you can be aware of the response from the body, so to speak, so that your awareness of what mind says and the body has a connection when it happens. And that's so important, to have the connection from the mind to body, because generally speaking, we don't have it, because we are busy in the mind, and the stomach is hurting, and you don't care because you have to get things done. You want to fix this stuff or something instead of taking a break. So you have such a pride, and you have such ego, and you have the time and all of that. So I relax it all the time, because I know what's the point of it. So, the bottom line is I do this many times during the day. But the usual case is that you don't do it. Just busy this, busy that, because you have so many things to do. Because you don't have the priorities right, and you're just busy. And that's the game. And it's stupid if you keep on doing, because you're not focused and prioritized, so that your effort is not balanced and the brain is not connected to the body, which is not healthy. The body is suffering because the mind is functioning, and generally speaking, the mind is like a fake. Yeah. You're thinking this, you're thinking that, that's all you think, but the world is just the way it is, so your thinking is not the world, or the body, therefore whatever is thinking is not connected to the body, and you're one being, but you're disconnected. So that is the problem of what I call the brain and the heart. Instead of separate, and each you have that contradictory or the paradoxical relationship. So there's a problem of oneness of the whole existence, and we are busy with the mind. So that, maybe I'm talking too much.
No, keep going.
Anyway, so
that's a good point. That's the problem.
That's not healthy. So this is the example of Vipassana, is to connect to the body. That's the point I was talking about. And just shortly, but this is interesting, very, very amazing stuff that happened was that on the 8th day in the afternoon, I was ready to go to the hospital because it was painful and I couldn't stand. But I was so determined, so I sat and my palm was wet and my body was shaking, but I wanted to go through it. And that's the 52 years old guy sitting there working so hard. I can laugh at it, but I was in pain and, they call it dharma pain because you have something carried on and it's showing up when you do that.
Yeah.
So you still do this Vipassana and the inner body sensation. And then interesting thing happened because nothing is working. You are cornered. There's nothing you can do, but you're still doing it. I came to the pinnacle of the pain, and at the moment, I thought, is it because I'm trying to escape from the pain? Is that the reason for me to have a pain? Why I thought about it, I don't know. But when I thought about it, well, maybe I read somewhere in the book of Zen, but when I thought about the time when I was, closing my eyes and meditating and body shaking, and I thought, at the moment, is it because I'm trying to escape? So that is the thought that who is the escaping and who is watching that this person is escaping. So there are two me's. I'm trying to escape, I know it. But if you can see if you are escaping, there's a you observing and you escaping. So there are double you, so to speak. It's like Eckhart Tolle talking about I can't stand myself. The same thing. I can't stand my pain, but there's me thinking about the pain, and the thinking of the me was saying that maybe I'm stupid to run out of the pain. So I thought about it, and at the time I started to observe because am I trying to escape? And when I thought like that, wow, what happened? Because there's a vibration of the body that I was feeling because of this Vipassana, and the molecules kind of starting to jump around. And you feel the palm, wet and, wonderful sensation. But their energy start to build up inside of me as I watched to the left hand to the right hand and, arm and shoulder and back, and you could see all the response from the body. That's crazy to say, but that's what happened. And then I'm playful, so I'm sitting my two hands by two sides, and I said, okay, what if I jump this energy from the left hand to the right hand? So in my imagination, I was watching to the left hand to the right hand, and then going around. And surprisingly, this energy went around. And I could do anything I want. So I was fascinated. I was only observing. As Krishnamurti says, choiceless observation, just observing what's happening and the response of it, like the kids watching. And then the energy of this liveliness of the vibration start to build up, and my body start to shake, and I was jumping around, and the energy was like a twirling like a dynamo in the electrical generator happening, and then starting to they call it the serpent or something like that.
Yeah, it's Kundalini.
It's
Kundalini energy.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't like Kundalini for some reason.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about
energy.
it.
Yeah.
But the energy is the same.
It is.
That energy is building. And my penis got erected because of the energy.
Yeah.
And I was moving around, jumping around, and all the way from the bottom to the top. And then relief, and it may have taken more like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Then I heard the gong ending the end of this meditation. I'm glad that the gong didn't happen before this happened. It just happened after 1 hour and a half of meditation or something. So, wow, so going back to the point of Samadhi and how it more frequently is only to jump from that experience. So once a year I did the Vipassana, 10 days, because that was such a wonderful experience. And I, after that experience, maybe it took 10 10 days, I was always kind of floating in the air and gradually start to lower that feeling. So after 1 year, in the meantime, I practiced the everyday sitting. And 1 year later, I came back and expecting that the same thing's going to happen. It didn't happen. But to me, it was important because it's kind of like an insurance. I went through that, get that Bhanga or like a Satori Kensho experience.
Yeah.
So you cleaned up, and I don't want to get things to be carried back into my system.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to do it because it's so painful to carry. To get rid of it takes so much time.
Yeah.
No, please let me not do it. So luckily, I believe this is what happened. That sensation, that the transparency, I call it, in my whole body is, like vibrating. I don't see any blockage. That's why I call it transparency.
Yeah.
I could connect to that very easily. So I did like a dozen times or more meditation, but eventually I started lower because it's not every year to do, but more of a daily practice and to connect to the transparency, as I call it. And I've been doing it for years. And only recently, because I do this YouTube and just want to get more or really into it, because I want to be sincere and truthful in what I'm doing, and also, I don't know if you use the word happiness, be pleasant in the way you live. So I'm living like that. So what I have noticed is that this Sila Samadhi Panna is the basic rule of Buddhism, and Sila is the right conduct, don't do the wrong thing, and Samadhi is the calm and quiet mind, which is like awareness, being in the moment, like in meditation scanning or finding the transparency. So that's the moment accentuating, kind of, you want to have that as a base, and then when you have that, the insight happens. So in this case, I use this picking up the what's this one? How do you call it? Sauna.
Sauna.
So we decided to stop it because it's exhausting and get frustrated. So it's the example. Right conduct is not to frustrate. So what's the way? Watch the ocean, or drink the water, or talk something else like I'm doing this, to kind of freshen up, be playful and like a kid instead of too focused. And that is the setting I'm saying I'm putting multiple times. I don't know if I can count, maybe hundreds of times in a day. And what I feel is that when some unnecessary negative thought pops up, yesterday's email, this was not right, and it should have been written this way, or that guy is not, whatever. And when I think about it, I'm aware that I'm thinking about it. Again, me aware of me, right? I'm aware of me thinking, and that's the thing. Because if you are occupied in your mind, you don't think of me thinking. You're just thinking. You don't see those two states. There's a one calm and quiet samadhi kind of state that we can have, we all have, because we came from there, from the child days, and we are there before all the contamination start to happen, bad habit and trauma happen. And then we build up all the stuff, which is necessary, but also unnecessary trauma thing maybe. And you go back to the negative thought. And I have those, I can see it. But if I know it's popping up, like I hate it or whatever, it doesn't matter. When I think I see that, then I can take time off. And if you're busy living in the society, maybe you cannot, so you keep pushing. So you don't have a way out, you just stay there.
Yeah.
But in my case, I realized, and maybe it's not for everyone, that I'm liberated in previous situation, from previous situation, and still those negativity happens as human, because things change and we are changing, so we have to keep up with it. So it's a long story, but basically long-term yearly 10 days of meditation is meaningful, but then daily practice and noticing me aware of what's going on. And how do you do that? I cannot explain to you because it comes with I call it the Joe Ricky in one of the YouTube. The Joe is consistent and Ricky is power, consistent, but that like a good discipline to have that. Like a transparency, some awareness, and bring that as a part of the day, and then that will trigger you much more often, and that might help us to live a more liberated life and make a good judgment before it's too late, and maybe live happily. So did it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing about compartmental, or how when you leave.
Yeah, let me talk about it. Yeah, we are talking about this. This is my image of what I felt. If we are confined in something and not working, our blood and hormone would accumulate in certain part of the brain, let's say. Neurons firing in that area. And there's no way out. So you try this, try that. So it's kind of like, you're hitting over and over, and all the blood and the energy is in that area. And you don't get out of it. That's why I said that like AI deep learning, you need to go deeper into the memories of different or other interests that you have, so that you don't have this blood and neurons too much focused and caught up in there, but be able to see the ocean and the bird, and then how wonderful. And when you have that sense of awareness and connection to the nature, especially because it's a natural thing, then this artificial issue of how to fix this sauna stuff.
Exactly. So you soften the space that was blocked.
Right.
To create.
Yeah, it's kind of diffuses that
diffuses the
energy.
Situation, and then it makes. It also creates more inspired action because...
I don't know what's the word, warp or some of the stuff that they developed to the kid and it just explode, and I don't know the medical term, but if you leave the worst things not addressed, then
then it gets worse. And then,
that's, you want to
notice.
There's
huge frustration, and then that's when
right.
Yeah.
So I think
when stress goes on.
Yeah. So if we do this right, my sense is that we are happier. We do less.
Yes.
We do less unimportant things. And
yes.
Less energy to be wasted for unnecessary things.
Yeah. Exactly. Less energy wasted for unnecessary things. That's very important.
Yeah. So it's a daily practice, a moment-to-moment practice.
And you said you're starting to compartmentalize it more, and you also said something about less than an hour or sitting for an hour or 2 hours because things will accumulate more. So you want to sit for shorter amounts of time to let inspired action come?
That how much time you sit is arguable, because in my case I have to go through this Bhanga and that experience. Maybe 3%, not many people.
Yeah.
So the transparency...
I'm talking about daily.
Yeah. But so the Goenka-san in Vipassana suggests that, and that's what I cannot say much because I didn't practice. He said that 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't do it, so I didn't. But I tried like 1 hour or sometimes 2 hours. But that's not a good point to share. But because I had this Bhanga experience that helped me to accelerate the learning and practice moving from the daily and yearly into the more frequent awareness and bring that into the space. But if you try it, I mean, everybody's case may be different, but if you pay attention to the grabbing the moment and spending time to, for calm and quiet mind, then you might start to get the hang of it. And I think that's what they call experiential learning. Yeah. So whether you need to go through long-term course and daily or 3 days, and it all depends on people may move around. So I'm not gonna say much about it, but generally speaking, if you haven't, then you may have to spend, invest like 10 days even, like in my case, I did that. Yeah, but it's up to each person. And some people may be lucky enough to figure out without much sitting, but I cannot say because everybody's upbringing is different.
Yeah.
And like a trauma, the stiffness that is developed may be much tighter for some people than others.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.